My name, as you all probably know already, is Mario Ponner. God, that name. That's the product of a time when I was a much younger person and a maniacally devoted Sonic the Hedgehog fanboy. My name is not important. What is important is what I'm about to do. I've been on YouTube since November of 2009, an era of camcorder Let's Plays and Windows Movie Maker. It's been just over 8 years, and it's only recently that I've realized how much our interests and preferences tend to divide us. Because the videos we get recommended depend on our past history and interests, it's easy for us, I feel, to find ourselves trapped in a chamber of like-minded people without even realizing it. These devoted fans have their own inside jokes, their own history, and even their own linguistics and memetics, and these are nearly incomprehensible to anyone that's outside of the loop. I'm trying to understand how people are separated by linguistics and why. What implications does this have? So, I'm making a new series of videos called The Gaming Gap, tentatively, focusing on terms and concepts that are familiar to gamers, but not so familiar to people outside of gaming culture. Hopefully, by doing more detailed analysis and research on these terms, I can make content that's entertaining and informative for both gamers and non-gamers alike. Every Thursday afternoon, there'll be a video coming out on this channel. You might be wondering why I'm doing this. Well, it's pretty simple. I love video games and I love gaming, and I want to share what I love and why I love it with other people. I want to be able to explain it to them. I showed some of my videos to my social media class and they definitely liked them, but they weren't into gaming. A lot of the jokes and concepts went right over their heads, and so there was a separation, a fundamental divide between how we saw the content I made. So I feel that critical analysis and definition of these basic terms, these concepts that we as gamers might hold is self-evident. Hopefully we can encourage healthy discussion and even more so, thinking about how we can make games and gaming better in the future. So, this is a little example. The episode will start with a definition of the term. I know a lot of this material is kind of subjective, so I'll do my best to explain the definition as I understand it, and also any alternate definitions that are notable or controversial. Level grinding, or grinding for money or ever resources, involves repeating the same actions over and over again to gain resources and benefits in a game. This usually involves killing enemies for money, experience points, or other resources, but it can be extended to doing any in-game activity for any reward. Farming, the term, has a good bit of overlap, but that usually means repeatedly doing actions for randomly dropped items. But that's similar enough, I feel like both of them sort of fall under the same category. In my opinion, for an action to count as grinding, it has to be a tedious and uninteresting activity, focusing on repetition instead of advancing through the game or doing unique, interesting stuff. The repetition, in my opinion, is key. You're not just fighting the same enemies twice or 3 times, but 20 or 30 or possibly even more. Next, after the definition, we'll look into the history and usage of the term. In regards to level grinding, it's difficult to find a specific origin of the term as applied to video games. But the practice of grinding is far easier to notice. It dates back to the early days of computer role-playing games, such as the original Ultima and Wizardry, where grinding to raise your character's experience level was the only practical, or even the only possible way to progress through the game. The original Wizardry had this especially bad because its strongest magic would decrease your level when used. So now we move on to the final part of this video formula, my opinion on the term and what it represents. I think that the term grinding is very representative of the experience of grinding. I feel grinding for resources in a video game mostly drags the experience down. I'm a man who prefers quality over quantity when it comes to entertainment experiences. My time's valuable, and I have a lot of things competing for it these days, so if a game's mechanics feel padded, I feel like my time's being wasted. I won't say that grinding's always bad. It can emphasize a sense of struggle and perseverance to make it all the more rewarding when you finally accomplish your goal, but I feel there are a lot of other, better ways to do that than encouraging repetition of the same fights and actions over and over again. So that's what this series is going to be about. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you'll be tuning back in next Thursday. So, just out of curiosity, what was your worst experience with grinding or farming in a video game? Mine would have to be the most frustrating was farming the Shmoo heads for the Kaseagrim in Symphony of the Night, the game's best sword. It took me almost 2 hours before I got the thing, almost pulled my hair out in frustration, and I was so glad to finally be done with that. So yeah, just let me know in the comments what your worst experience grinding for something in a game was. Just some food for thought. Alright, thank you so much.